Independence Prayer Walk. Tourism training continues. Talks on restarting soccer. This is Flipping Grand Bahama News for the week ending July 10th, 2020. I'm Haley Adderley saying Happy Independence Day, Bahamas. Thank you for joining us. Celebrations in Grand Bahama this year lacked the usual luster due to the COVID-19 pandemic, causing 3 events this year. Last week's celebration began with a flag-raising ceremony and closing today with a 3-hour prayer march.
Between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. this morning, the public was encouraged to come out to the Independence Park to take part in an Independence Prayer Walk, celebrating our 47th year of independence. Making the announcement for the event earlier this week was the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson.
So we're very pleased to announce the Independence Prayer Walk on Independence Park, which will take place on Independence Day. With all of the social distancing restrictions that has taken place over the last few months, we recognize that we were unable to have our normal independence celebrations. However, recognizing that exercise is now permitted, and exercise meaning walk on Independence Park, walk throughout the streets, we thought it fitting that we celebrate Independence Morning by having a walk. But we didn't want to just walk, but we wanted to walk with a purpose. And so we're very pleased that the Independence Committee, along with the Grand Bahama Christian Council and a number of pastors, have come together to organize and plan a Independence Prayer Walk, which will take place on Independence Park.
Chairman of the Independence Celebration Committee, Senator Jasmine Darius, then added,
and I believe that this is a very strategic prayer walk during this time. Psalm 33:12 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people whom he hath chosen for his inheritance." And so during this time of independence, we are not having the regular celebrations, but we are taking this time to seek and to honor God, not just for the island, but as the Minister of Grand Bahama would have said, but for our entire nation. And so we would like to summons all of the prayer warriors, the intercessors, the gatekeepers. We are calling on all of the denominations, Catholics, Anglicans, the Methodists. We want everybody to join us on July 10th at 6 a.m. to
President of the Grand Bahama Christian Council, Reverend Robert Lockhart, called on all Bahamians to come out.
But we also send out to the whole Bahamian community, those that may consider themselves church people, those who may consider themselves not much of church people, but all of us need God. And when we recognize our need of God and recognize that our ultimate blessings and key to success and prosperity comes from Him, I want to encourage all Bahamians. Let's come together on the Independence Park for a time of prayer, but also walk. We know many of us walk on the mornings. It's going to be from 6 to 9 on our Independence Day as we celebrate God's goodness to us throughout the many years or the 47 years that we've functioned as an independent nation.
Also, Reverend Cranston McDonald added to this call.
And we just want to invite everyone that actually, on the sound of my voice and watching this news report, to be there and just come and pray. As soon as you walk through the gate, start praying.
The celebration began last Friday with a flag-raising ceremony, followed by churches dedicating the weekend services to the independence message, and now the prayer walk today. As we celebrate our 47th year of independence this year, all celebrations are overshadowed by the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, especially in Grand Bahama. After about 2 months of having no cases, this week we heard that 2 cases were found in Grand Bahama. This came out during the Prime Minister's address on Wednesday during the House of Assembly meeting. The 2 cases are a 33-year-old female with no history of travel and a 20-year-old male who is an undocumented migrant. Both cases are said to be in isolation at home. This came after the Prime Minister closed the beaches for the long holiday weekend for fear of a spread of the disease that had almost stopped in the country.
We now look at this week's crime report.
Coming from the Royal Bahamas Police Force this week in Grand Bahama, there was a traffic fatality in Boodle Bay on Monday evening, shortly after 9 p.m. The accident involved 2 vehicles, a black 2007 Mazda SUV with 2 passengers, and a champagne-colored 2006 Chevy Cavalier with a lone driver. All persons involved succumbed to their injuries on the scene. Names of those involved were Marciano Morley, Roderick Pinder, and Chanel Curtis.
This week, the Ministry of Tourism held reopening training for businesses in Grand Bahama, focusing on those outside of the Freeport area. We're here at the Mount Zion Baptist Church in 8 Mile Rock, where the Ministry of Tourism and Aviation is holding a COVID-19 environment safety essentials for tourist-facing workers.
The Ministry of Tourism is continuing their mandate to prepare those business persons directly in the tourism business for the new protocols directed by the threat of COVID-19. 3 more sessions were held this week, starting on Monday in West End, then on Tuesday at Tino Beach, and then on Wednesday at the Mount Zion Baptist Church in 8 Mile Rock. Here, Grand Bahama manager of the local tourism office, Stephen Johnson, explains this is a mandatory course.
But anyway, I want to thank you all. I hope you all enjoy the presentation. You'll get certificates at the end of this. This is a mandatory program. So if you're a cab driver and you're at the airport and you're any place within Grand Bahama and the police approaches you, or road traffic, they will not allow you to operate unless you have a certificate. And we're doing the same thing for vendors and everybody else. So everybody has to go through this training. And this is put on by the Tourism Readiness and Recovery Committee. And this is made of representatives from the private sector, the public sector. They put together a 150-page report that we all follow. You can find this on the Bahamas government site if you want to see this report. And it's well needed, well necessary, and to keep us all safe here in Grand Bahama.
The session began with a presentation by Dr. Greg Bartlett, who gave an explanation on how COVID is spread.
We have a sense of security that we have conquered, crushed the disease. We don't have any problems in Grand Bahama. That's not a reality. It's good if it is. I'm hoping it is, and hallelujah it is, but it's not necessarily something health can sit back on and say, well, we don't have any cases in Grand Bahama. I go back to the fact that most of the cases are asymptomatic, which means they have no symptoms at all. Okay? Now, what do we know that works? We would have instituted public health and safety measures. We would have done lockdowns. We still are doing curfews. As of this evening, as of tomorrow evening, we're going to lock down for the beaches because we have concern about that. We open our borders to international travel. We're opening to a hotspot, the United States. 80% of our tourism dollars comes from the United States. Okay, we open up to a hotspot. We have mechanisms in place. They have to have a travel visa that they do online. The process is not perfect. We still have people showing up at our borders with the wrong tests. We still have people showing up at our borders with no tests. Okay? we still have challenges. So we have to be able to man and to monitor our ports. That's all the harbors, all of the marinas. We have to monitor what's coming in through the airport. That is a huge exercise. We're looking at the labs and we're taking the time from a health standpoint. Every passenger that gets off that boat, we want to look at that lab result to make sure it is the right lab result and it is acceptable. Okay?
Dr. Bartlett said that there are some people who came in and had to be turned away because they had no test results.
After 40 years on the Royal Bahamas Police Force and heading up the fire brigade over the past few years, ASP Hannah retired this week, handing the baton to ASP Floyd Bastian during a ceremony.
ASP Ernest Hannah retires amid much fanfare and the appearance of the Commissioner of Police, Paul Roll. Mr. Roll commended Mr. Hannah on a job well done.
A pleasure and an honor to honor someone who deserves honor, because many of us deserve honor and are hardly ever recognized. Well, I've made it my point while I serve as commissioner to recognize among the colleagues, to find some way to honor and to recognize the good work that you do. And so I know it's at the end, and you say, well, why wait until I'm retiring? Well, look, I just became commissioner 3 months ago. So I can tell you what I can do while I'm here. Because there's one thing that I've come to learn is there are too many police officers who give service to this country, and when they're gone, they're gone. Nobody remembers you. And you hardly see them anymore. So what you don't do while you're here, you tend to be soon forgotten. You have given service to this country. You have given service with distinction. You have given service with honor. You have been loyal to this organization. And I can say that without fear of contradiction.
Before the commissioner, a tribute was paid to Mr. Hannah by Chief Superintendent of Police Kimberly Taylor, who gave a lot of information on Mr. Hannah's career on the force.
I wholeheartedly support Superintendent Hannah in his future endeavors. He has endured and has served with all courage, integrity, and loyalty. In my final assessment, I highly recommend that he not only be reconsidered for any further contractual period, however, he should be granted all well wishes for a successful and healthy retirement.
ASP Hannah also got an opportunity to give his thanks to the force. After this, the new head of the fire department was announced in the person of ASP Floyd Bastian.
I am back again. When I left from here, as you know, the fire branch was much revered, much respected. We were in all parts of the communities here, Abaco, Bimini, for some times in the Berry Islands. We were very, very community-minded, but most of all, we were efficient and effective. I think Superintendent Hannah did an excellent job, and you would find out that made his style of leadership kind of different. So I believe what you get paid, you should earn. And so you would see us up and about. There'll be a lot of training. We have some new officers on board. You would have heard the Commissioner of Police mention those. And so these new recruits have to be able to take over the mantle and give you even better services than we would have. And so I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to going on with this mandate. You might hear some things in the coming weeks and months, because the Commission mentioned that there are 2 new fire engines that are on board to come over. Along with that, I believe me and him, or me and Mr. Greenstein, will have some deep conversations with the fire department and its resources. That is something I know we would speak to. And so I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I look back on it with fulfillment.
Following the luncheon, all celebrations for the day were over.
We are taking a break, and when we return, we are back with food distribution, Money Minute, and sports.
Flipping Grand Bahama News is a Media Limited production. If you see news in the making, call us at 727-6909. Or if you want to advertise, call 439-2493. Our salesperson is waiting.
Welcome back. The Progressive Liberal Party laments the inability of the country to celebrate independence this year.
With elections about 2 years away, the Progressive Liberal Party has taken on monthly press conferences, and this week a statement was issued from leader Philip Brave Davis calling out the government for its position on the celebrations for this year's independence. Having the subhead, The Promise of Independence, Mr. Davis noted that just a few short weeks ago, during the budget debate in Parliament, he had spoken about the promise of independence for our country. He explained that the promise of independence was more than just freedom from colonial rule. He continued to say it was also the promise of self-determination, the right to lead lives of dignity and purpose. It was the promise of unlocking for the first time real economic opportunity and empowerment for all of our people. The PLP truly believe that our fight is not complete until we wipe every tear from every eye. I regret deeply that this year the government has chosen not to have a physical celebration of independence, he stated.
The Grand Bahama Port Authority is continuing their mission in assisting the return of true commerce in Grand Bahama and helping businesses who were lost after Hurricane Dorian to reassess and return.
In a press conference this week, the Small Business Recovery Grant Program, a partnership between the Bahamas Red Cross and the Grand Bahama Port Authority, announced the addition of the Small Business Development Center with a $100,000 addition to the pot. President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Ian Roll, noted that after the first round of the program, they had assisted 32 businesses to the total of $159,000. In round 2, he said, they had 97 candidates, and for round 3, they're looking to help even more.
We recognized the difficulty being faced by many licensees, especially the smaller businesses, and so we saw the need to push this very important segment of our local economy. The SBR program will award a minimum of 80 grants in amounts of $3,000, $4,500, and $6,000 to micro licensees and vendor permit holders on Grand Bahama Island operating within the sectors of fishing, farming, craft and souvenir vendors, food vendors and of all kinds, micro retail sales and services, and home-based service businesses.
Derek Newbold, Senior Manager, Business Development at the Port Authority, expressed the value of the small business community.
We are committed as a body to ensuring that we support this community as much as possible. Here in Freeport, we have almost 2,800 businesses operating, and almost 50% of them can be classified as a small business. And so we totally understand and appreciate the tremendous commitment that small businesses have made and will continue to make moving forward. That is precisely why it was important for us to find a way to support our small business community, especially our micro businesses, during this very difficult time.
Davinia Grant, Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center, said the government has invested nearly $4 million in the Hurricane Dorian recovery and over $37 million in the COVID business continuity assistance.
And through, again, because of the support of the government of the Bahamas, the SBDC Access Accelerator has been running a matching grant program. And I would say with respect to Hurricane Dorian, this would be the first time that we're matching with an outside organization to be able to make a greater support, a greater offering to those persons who need it most. So I'm really excited that we're collaborating in this way. I know that our offices often collaborate, but it's a good thing now we can connect our financial resources to reach more Grand Bahamians.
For the first time in Grand Bahama, the Police Force District will be holding training of officers in tactical training as well as defense driving. It began this week with a ceremony.
Commissioner Paul Roll said this tactical training was done in Nassau a few weeks ago, and he decided to have the northern officers receive the same training.
I want you to know that we do not see Grand Bahama any different, at least I don't, from policing perspective, from I see the police officers in Nassau, the Keys, and throughout the Family Islands. So it is my intentions, essentially, to afford every officer the opportunity for training. And so while you are here doing the tactical training and defensive driving in New Providence at this very hour, I have 5 courses that are starting, which includes the inspector's course, management, the sergeant, the corporal, and the intelligence course. So if nobody from Grand Bahama is on any of those, don't worry about it. We'll bring it here.
He promised that he would be in Freeport as he is commissioner not only of Nassau but all the islands. He then added that the training is not only for police officers but include customs and immigration.
The people of Boodle Bay were not left out this past week, as the Outreach Ministries gave away food items this last Saturday.
This past weekend, the Outreach Ministries was in Boodle Bay, then to West End to distribute foodstuff to the people in those areas. Here is leader Dudley Said explaining about the day.
This is one of our initiatives we call Feeding Grand Bahama program. It was very important for us to come in the West. I had a lot of phone calls from folks in Boodle Bay. They said no one has been here. People always forget Boodle Bay and go straight down to West End. But this couldn't have been done without the partners. The Grandmama Disaster Relief Foundation, they are a big part of what I do. Farmer Camp, and this couldn't have been done without Sandy Sawyer. Sandy Sawyer, all the chicken has been provided by him. Over today, exercise is going to be over $10,000 worth of grocery bags and chicken. It's a good day for us. We've been all over Grand Bahama. COVID-19 slow us down. The economy is down. But we come together to bring a little relief. A lot of people are not working at this time. So Tomorrow will be a good day for them. They can cook a hot meal on Sunday. But I'm very grateful to God at this time that He's using Richard as a vessel to continue to feed the people here in Grand Bahama.
We are taking a break, and when we return, we will be talking national, regional, and Money Minute.
At Media Unlimited, we want to make you a star. We help you make your own video programs, podcasts, blog, vlog, press releases, and more. Call for more information, 727-6909.
Welcome back. 100 new police officers graduated in Nassau this week, and we're told by the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, that he expects them to give no less than their best.
On July 2nd, the Royal Bahamas Police Force recruit held a passing out ceremony for Squad C, D, and E, where Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, congratulated the 77 males and 23 females for achieving one of their life's goals of becoming members of a very proud and historic organization, the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Minister Dames also told recruits that they're graduating at a time when the Bahamas and the rest of the world are in the midst of the greatest health crisis of our times, the COVID-19 pandemic. Frontline workers played a very pivotal role ensuring the safety of every resident and maintaining an equilibrium throughout the society, he added. As each of you have been given the consent of the Bahamian people to serve in your capacity as peace officers, it is expected, therefore, that as you go about in the execution of your duties, that you should never forget that you serve at the pleasure of the people by whose consent you have been called upon to serve, Minister Dames said. He added that the Royal Bahamas Police Force had taken a position to improve on its delivery of service to its customers, the Bahamian people.
In the region, the Caribbean's Health and Tourism Authority's COVID-19 Caribbean Tourism Task Force announced a new initiative to help safeguard the health of travelers and employees during the recent virtual press conference, unveiling comprehensive health safety guidelines supported by an aggressive training schedule aimed at reaching thousands of the region's tourism employees in the coming weeks and months.
According to a release from the CHTA COVID-19 Caribbean Tourism Task Force, the initial set of guidelines includes detailed checklists backed by health safety training for various tourism industry sectors, including ground transportation, accommodation providers, food and beverage, and attractions. It was noted that the general health safety protocols have also been created and will be supported with training delivered by the Caribbean Public Health Agency to a wide cross-section of employees and owners in the tourism industry. Companies in the region which participate in the training will be recognized, and accommodation providers, which also join CARPA's online tourism health information system, will be eligible to receive the Caribbean Travel Health Assurance stamp, adding further assurance to travelers about their commitment to health safety. Building upon a unique partnership established over 5 years ago by CARPA and the region's public and private sector tourism stakeholders, and recognizing the severe negative impact which COVID-19 could have on the tourism-dependent economies of the region, CARPA and the Caribbean Tourism Association and the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association started working on COVID-19 preventative and education initiatives early in February.
More on savings in this week's Flipping Grand Bahama Money Minute.
One of the best ways to save money is to set a goal. Start by thinking of what you might want to save for. Perhaps you're getting married, planning a vacation, or saving for retirement. Then figure out how much money you'll need and how long it might take to save it. Tip: set a small, achievable short-term goal for something fun, big enough that you aren't likely to have the cash on hand to pay for it, such as a new smartphone or holiday gifts. Reaching smaller goals and enjoying the fun reward you've saved for can give you a psychological boost that makes the payoff of saving more immediate and reinforces the habit.
We now go to sporting news. During the recent presentation to the football organization in Grand Bahama, Executive Vice President of the Bahamas Football Association, Anya James, spoke to the return of football amidst COVID-19.
With the opening of the economy, we are now also open to sporting activities, albeit in the new norm. The Executive Vice President of the Bahamas Football Association said through a Zoom meeting, some guidelines were established for the association going forward.
Where we continue to encourage social distancing. Initially, we're going to start with just the small side games. Encourage everybody to bring their individual equipment, encourage sanitization and disinfecting of all areas, all equipment. And I know it's quote unquote a new normal, but it's something that all of us will have to play our part to ensure that we stay COVID free.
One of the main challenges, she said, is with the children.
The hardest part, as we discussed, is going to get the little ones because, they've been cooped up, like the president said. They're excited. They have a whole bunch of energy. They're excited. They want to get out and play. So the hardest part that we're going to have to focus on keeping the children to emphasize the social distancing for the children, the hand washing, not touching their faces. We're also encouraging the clubs to establish their own protocols as far as practices and training sessions where you basically control the flow of players coming into your facility, taking names and contact tracing as well. So if there's ever an issue, you would know and you should contact your clubs or your coaches immediately so that everybody will be able to start the protocol.
We now take you to our 7-day weather forecast. That's all for this week. For Flipping Grand Bahama News, I'm Haley Adderley. Catch us again next week on flippinggb.com, on Facebook at Flipping Grand Bahama, on YouTube at Flipping Grand Bahama channel, or on Instagram at Media Unlimited Bahamas. Do comment, like, share, and subscribe.